The registration of candidates to state governors and legislative councils and National Assembly deputies continue in Venezuela ahead of the May 25 elections. In Honduras, experts from Latin American Caribbean states discussed the points to be submitted to the Foreign Minister of the regional organization for approval at the head of a state summit on Wednesday, April the 9th, 2025. On Monday, the death toll from Myanmar's earthquake rose 3,600 with 5,017 people injured and 160 still missing, according to the information team of the nation state's administration council. Hello and welcome to From the South, the Mana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us. The registration of candidates to state governors and legislative councils and National Assembly deputies continue in Venezuela ahead of the May 25th elections. According to the National Electoral Council, the parties can nominate or amend their candidates before April the 9th, which is the deadline to submit their final list. The May 25th elections will involve 24 governorships, the Legislative Council of each state, and deputies to the National Assembly across the country. In this sense, the Secretary General of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, highlighted the key dates of the electoral process related to the May 25th poll.
The program is very tight. The nominations are from the 7th to the 11th. Then we have the accreditation of witnesses from April 25th to May 24th. Then the campaign from April 29th to May 22nd. The electoral fair from April 29th to May 23rd, the mock election on May 4th, and the election on the 25th. But on April 27th we have an extraordinary event, which is the popular consultation in the communal councils, in the communes, about the projects. This is all within the principles of participatory democracy and of the real direct protagonist role of our people.
Likewise, Cabello also referred to the governor's work and its close relations with the plan of the homeland and the seventh transformation.
Within 48 days, in 7 weeks, there are elections in this country, elections for governors, the National Assembly and state legislative councils, a tight agenda. Each governor will present his government plan at the time of registration, a work done according to the plan of the homeland and to the 7 transformations with their different objectives not only at the national but at state levels.
Moreover, Cabello stated that the Bolivarian government continues to receive Venezuelan migrants, stressing that they have been victims of violence and mistreatments by the U.S. government and authorities.
Hemos seguido recibiendo a los compañeros que están regresando de otros países.
We have continued to receive the comrades who are returning from other countries. We have been receiving them in exactly the same way without any kind of variation. We have also expressed the conditions in which some of them have been mistreated or left without food for days, without eating, without having committed any crime. They have been persecuted, captured, and expelled, and here they are received as brothers. Whoever has any pending case with the law will have to face justice.
Quien tenga cuenta con la justicia, alguna cuenta pendiente con la justicia, tendrá que enfrentarse a la justicia.
In Honduras, experts from the community of Latin American Caribbean states discussed the points to be submitted to the foreign ministers of the regional organization for the approval at the head of a state summit on Wednesday, April the 9th, 2025. The event began this Monday with the participation of national coordinators from 33 member countries who will work on the technical aspects of the summit's draft declaration to be approved by the foreign ministers and head of state. According to experts, this draft will mark the lines of work and policy measures for the region in the coming years. The meeting also seeks to advance the regional agenda and strengthen cooperation ties between Latin American and Caribbean nations. It is expected that at the end of the summit, Honduran President Xiomara Castro will hand over the temporary presidency of the organization to her Colombian counterpart, Gustavo Petro. The President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, reaffirmed on Monday her attendance to the summit of the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States CELAC to be held in Honduras from April the 8th to the 9th.
I think it is an important moment to talk about the unity of Latin America and the Caribbean. Not only with the presidents who come from a progressive movement, but because of the importance of broadening the relationship between Latin America and the Caribbean. We are a region with enormous potential, a very close culture. That is part of what I will say.
The survey of the Santiago de Chile subway was restored after a 3-hour disruption on Monday. According to the authorities, the disruption was caused by technical failures reported a few minutes before 8 a.m. local time at a Catholic University and Santa Lucia stations, forcing their shutdown. The incident had its effects over a long stretch, generating evacuation and, above all, massive crowds at bus stops with people looking for alternative transportation. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. The 21st edition of the Freeland Camps, Brazil's largest indigenous mobilizations, kicked off in Brasilia on Monday in homage to the 20th anniversary of the articulation of indigenous peoples of Brazil. Close to 10,000 indigenous people from all regions of Brazil and Latin America are expected to attend the gathering that takes place from April the 7th to the 12th. With a program that includes plenary sessions, debates, cultural activities, and street demonstrations, the event has at the center of debate the suspension status of Law 14701 and the temporary Franco Law, which is a subject of several lawsuits before the Federal Supreme Court.
We are here. We are expecting between 8,000 to 10,000 indigenous people from all over Brazil and Latin America as well. It is also the main struggle we bring here. It's about the survival of life and the continued defense of the planet.
Among our complaints are the criminalization, the persecution of indigenous leaders, the assassinations, and above all, we also look at the issue of financing that is made in the name of conservation, in the name of climate change, in the name of large millions and does not reach the territory.
On Monday, the Cuban government reaffirmed its commitment to the promotion of health for all people in all countries of the world. On the occasion of the World Health Day, Cuba's Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez reaffirmed the will to continue providing solidarity assistance to the nations that require it. Rodriguez also pointed out that in the Caribbean, Latin America, Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, the experience, dedication, and quality of services provided by Cuban medical brigades are highly acknowledged. In commemoration of World Health Day, the Women's Front of the Paraguay, the Piaura Party, together with other union movements, demand that the government of Santiago Peña implement better conditions in public health. Public health unions mobilized in front of the Health Ministry headquarters in the capital city of Asunción and other departments of the country to demand that the government address the crisis facing the public health sector.
We come to demand our right to a free and quality public health. Nothing more and nothing less. A right that is guaranteed in the national constitution. But what are our authorities doing? They make a mockery of the people. Go figure, they set up a place for providing neonatal therapy. Then 3 days later, 3 or 4 days later, a newborn dies for lack of intensive care in that place. What else do we expect from our government?
The Argentine State Workers Association warned of the crisis in the health system and demanded the national government to guarantee quality public health services. Through a communique, the union condemned the policies of President Javier Milei and blamed him for the health crisis in the country after the disinvestments, the budget cuts, the funding of social projects, and massive layoffs. The Argentine State Workers Associations affirmed that for the government, the health of Argentinians is no longer a human right and has become a commodity. In the United States, the Trump administration has asked the Supreme Court to block an order to return a man erroneously deported to El Salvador. The order issued on Friday by U.S. District Judge Paula Signis requires officials to bring back Gilmar Armando Abrego Garcia to Maryland, who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. This in response to loss of bail by the man and his family. Precisely, Trump's lawyers have admitted in court documents that the administration deported the father of 3 due to a clerical error, but said they could not bring him back because of his in Salvadoran custody. U.S. President Trump took to platform Truth Social to announce the imposition of additional 50% tariff on China as effective on April the 9th. And his post, the president stated, yesterday China issued retaliatory tariff of 34% on top of their already record in the tariff and non-monetary tariff, illegal subsidiation of companies, and massive long-term currency manipulation, despite my warnings that any country that retaliates against the U.S. by issuing an additional tariff above and beyond the already existing long-term tariffs of use of our nation will immediately met with new and sustainably higher tariff over and above those initially set. Therefore, if China does not withdraw its 34% tariff increases over and above these initially said, above their already long-term trading abuses by tomorrow, April the 8th, 2025, the U.S. will impose additional tariff of China of 50% effective on April the 9th. Iranian government affirmed on Monday that it will not hold direct negotiations with Trump's administration on nuclear issues. The decision was made after Tehran and the U.S. president sent a letter through the Arab Emirates urging the Persian nation to negotiate its nuclear program and threatening to bomb the country if an agreement was not reached. The Iranian authorities informed that their decision also responds to Washington's new sanctions on Iranian oil. On the other hand, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Arashid said his government is awaiting a response from the White House to start negotiations on the nuclear program in Oman. Let's take a last break, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on our most recent events. Final short breakdown, go away. Welcome back. The leaders of the UN humanitarian agencies issued a direct joint warning about Gaza on Monday, calling for world leaders to ensure that the basic principles of international humanitarian law are upheld. Speaking to journalists at UN headquarters, spokesperson Stefan Dujarric said agencies are calling on the world to react with urgency to save Palestinians in Gaza. The plea from humanitarian chief comes as Israel has blocked the entrance of commercial and humanitarian supplies to Gaza for more than a month, while issuing new displacement orders that have forced hundreds of thousands of Palestinians to flee once again. Dujarric added that survivors across Gaza are being forced into ever sharing space where their basic needs just cannot be met.
Top officials from a number of UN agencies, notably OCHA, the World Food Programme, UNRWA, UNICEF and UNOPS, issued a statement a short while ago calling on the world to react with urgency to save Palestinians in Gaza. The UN officials noted that for over a month, no commercial or humanitarian supplies have entered Gaza, and more than 2.1 million people are trapped, bombed, and starved again. Food, medicine, fuel, shelter supplies are piling up at crossing points, and vital equipment is also stuck. Although the latest ceasefire allowed humanitarians to see that supplies reached every part of the Gaza Strip, they said that assertions that there is now enough food for all of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip are far from the reality on the ground. Meanwhile, our humanitarian colleagues tell us that across Gaza, Israeli attacks continue unabated, causing systematic, large-scale civilian casualties. People, including many children, are being killed, injured, and maimed for life. Survivors across Gaza are being displaced repeatedly and forced into an ever-shrinking space where their basic needs just cannot be met. Overall, we estimate that nearly 400,000 people have been displaced yet again since the breakdown of the ceasefire. That's 18% of all Palestinians in Gaza. And no arrangements to secure their safety and survival have a responsibility that falls on Israel as the occupying power.
Hundreds of people protested in Beirut on Monday in solidarity with the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip as the death toll in the territory climbs after the renewed Israeli offensive. The demonstration near Beirut's seaside was organized by local organizations, including the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. People were waving Palestinian and Lebanese flags while chanting in support of Gaza and in opposition to Israel. Israel last month shattered the ceasefire agreement with Hamas with a surprise bombardment in the Palestinian enclave after trying to pressure Hamas militants to accept proposed new terms for the ceasefire. Israel now controls 50% of the territory and is squeezing Palestinians into securing the wedge of land. The Zionist regime has killed over 50,700 Palestinian Muslim women and children.
This protest here on the coast of Beirut is in solidarity with the people of the Mediterranean coast and the Gaza Strip, who have been subjected to a war of genocide for the past 17 months without anyone taking action to help this people and stop this massacre. This genocide is a violation of all humanitarian laws, international conventions, and norms. The killing of women and children, the destruction of hospitals, universities, and schools is an attack on all of humanity.
No doubt, the whole world is witnessing today the ugliness of this genocide against humanity. We see a real genocide in front of everyone's eyes. No one can deny it today. And today, thank God, the whole world is witnessing the crimes committed by the occupying Zionists on our land, those who, God willing, will be driven out of the land of Palestine even if after a while.
Moving on Monday, the death toll from Myanmar's earthquake rose to 3,600, with 5,017 people injured and 166 still missing, according to the information team of the nation's State Administration Council. In this regard, many countries, including Russia and China, as well as the World Health Organization, have sent rescuers and resources to aid in the aftermath. International rescuers from Singapore, Malaysia, and India have returned to their countries after their work to find survivors was considered complete. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook and X and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the South, I'm Marrero. Thank you for watching.